Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the news show powered by ohmTown.com. Today is April 1st, 2024. It's not April Fool's Day. We really are doing a show. It is April Fool's Day, and we're doing a show. Our production value is that high. I'm Mayor Watt. Up there is the visualizer, the newest visualizer for the sentient AI. We tried it out over the weekend. We kind of dig it. Hope you all dig it. You want to say hi?
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
Hey, look at that. That's really cool. Well, today we're going to be talking about ignore after hours, boss calls, trains to fix baby problem, highway one becomes one, prison visits go dark, shortage of bolts and planes, squatting laws could change, talk about range anxiety, armored car driving school, California gives $150,000 to people who can buy houses already, and April Fool's Day 2024. Everything is powered by... So yeah, welcome to ohmTown. Go over to ohmTown.com. That's what powers all of this. It is a news aggregator, but we only take a little snippet. It's actually provided by our sources. We don't screen scrape. We don't use any server heavy kind of mechanization. So we only get the little snippet. And just watch the show and you'll see how this plays out. And on the weekends, we have a whole host of shows and hosts of host, me and the sentient AI from the future up there. That's their visualizer. So on the weekends, we have, it's a daily show as well. So ohmTown Daily News Show, both Saturday and Sunday. And then we have on Saturday, Reality Hacker, Wanted, and Warcrafters. And then on Sunday, we have the Continuity Report, Technology Today, and 4-Wheel Tech. So technically, we have 7 shows that take place over the weekend. One of which, ohmTown Daily News Show, is twice. But only covers the news from the previous 24 hours in both cases. So like every single day, we only talk about the last 24 hours of news. Unless something special pops up, right?
That's right. And sometimes we do have a callback to other articles.
That's true, right? So some people aren't interested in the holistic ohmTown Daily News Show. They want the niche. They want something specific. But because the holistic show might have talked about it at some time, if you watch the niche show, which typically does not have repetitive news, like out of the 10 articles that we talk about, 9 of them are unique. You know, it's just every once in a while something crosses over because we feel that it's important enough to talk about it again, give it some more airtime. And we try not to rehash what we talked about or expound upon. That's what we prefer, is to expound upon what we've already discussed.
We do some expounding.
Oh my goodness. A little bit of soapboxing goes a long way. And then if you do enough soapboxing, you know, you're clean at the end of it, right? All that soap. You're lathering up, you're rinsing
That's
off.
right.
I have to look at the etymology of why it's called a soapbox, right? Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, I'll have to look at it. I'm really into etymology, so much so that I started up I've got a bunch of them. So Breaking Prose is about writing. Let's see here. Semiotic ontology is about how things get meaning. Dictionary is entirely about words and word history, etymology, and creating new words. Typically, it used to be a service for my business, but I typically, it's no longer really, I don't do much of that. Well, anyway, we've got 10 articles all set up, ready to go. So why don't we get into it?
Sounds good.
3, 2, 1. First article is over in ohmTown Daily. This California lawmaker wants to help you ignore your boss when they call you after hours. And right out of the gate, I'm really sorry. I don't care if this is a lawmaker and it even goes into law. If you ignore your boss over the weekend or after hours or whatever, it's just not going to turn out well. You know?
Right. I mean, maybe you're allowed to do it, but what are the ramifications of it going to be?
Even if it's a long con on the business owner's side, they're gonna fire your ass in a week or two. They're gonna tolerate, but the problem really is societal. I think that a boss really should, it's more emblematic of a boss in an enterprise when it can't find people and it has to lean. If somebody cancels last minute, I'm sorry, you really should pay the person more and have them come in, ask them to come in, and have people in reserve. Even if they're not utilized a lot, you got to find people that are willing to facilitate your enterprise. You should not respond negatively when the work-life balance of an employee supersedes their dedication to the company. Because you know, as a business owner, give me a break. You have zero allegiance to your employees 99% of the time. There's anomalous employee or employers who absolutely adore their employees and will jump through flaming hoops to facilitate their lifestyle and support their desires for education and professional development, all kinds of stuff. Yes, but most of the time out there, business owners are like, I need my money, I need to go buy a new car, my kid is in private school, my wife needs jewelry, or the obverse of this is a female business owner or a significant other needs something special, a new car or whatever. It doesn't really matter. The fact, though, is, and my main point of this is that business owners really have no loyalty towards their employees. And if times get tough, guess who gets fired? It isn't the boss.
It's employees, right?
Right. Hey, we need to extend our runway. Let's fire 10,000 people. Why? Because they're sociopaths. They demand more profit to the shareholders, to the investors, even at the cost of potentially ruining somebody's life. And just so you know, I am a capitalist. I believe in the capitalist enterprise, but I also believe in social good at parity with your business enterprise. And I am not ignorant of business and financial mechanics. I have an MBA, if that means anything to you, depending on who you talk to. MBAs are a dime a dozen. But
yeah, but some people don't have them either. So
yeah, I went into finance because I was interested in basically the power and capabilities of understanding financial machinations, and I hated what went on behind closed doors. Absolutely despised it. The amount of nepotism and sociopathy was palpable in business meetings. So that's the angle that I come from, and my bias is just as palpable. Okay, I really don't like what a mantra of profit over everything, right? With the tiniest ethics handbook, like stapled on, and with a really bad staple so it falls off.
It's on the back page or something.
It's a leaflet, really, you know? Anyway, it's a 15-minute video where the answers are always going to be, no, I won't do stupid stuff. But they're so obvious that you always hit. And they hand you a cheat sheet. Anyway, soapbox today, right? I'm really sorry, but I had to.
Right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate. So the lawmaker wants to pass a bill allowing employees to ignore after-hours calls from their boss. The California bill aims to address work policies that have become muddled post-pandemic. Assembly Bill 2751 would allow for exceptions to emergencies or scheduling changes. This means nothing. And here's my major problem with this. It's raising a phone call to the level of creating a protected class, right? And it really should just be a business mandate anyway. You scheduled me off. Kiss my shiny metal ass. I should...
Right, don't bother me while I'm not on work hours.
There you go. And if I'm exempt, it's my choice to come back. And if you call me no longer a team player, an asset to the enterprise, I'm sorry, it says more about you and your business machination failings than it is me, because I want my work-life balance. I don't want to just burn the candle at both ends, get burned out, hate the last 20 years of my existence. Some people, it's fine. They love this stuff. They eat it up. But that's a choice. And it's a choice for me to go and show up when you call me on the weekend or after hours. So Katie Belovic over at businessinsider.com put the article together. And it says it's a universal headache. Your phone rings after hours and it's your boss. You don't know exactly what he or she wants. But it's probably not to wish you a good night or a happy weekend. I don't know. I've actually gotten I've gotten a text saying have a good week out of the blue. And I'm like, did you intend to send that to me? And they're like, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So more likely than not, it's an after hours call means more work for you. And like, you're not paying me more. Any after hours, if I'm exempt, if I'm a non-exempt employee, then you're paying me. But I still have to, what's my opportunity cost? And what am I losing because you call me in? I have to go and tell, either my kid or my significant other or my friends or my own private work I have to set aside. You can't get your time back, folks. So you better make it worth your while.
No, and you can't get your relaxation and stress level back either. It's not just the time and the dollars.
Yep. Yep. So people now find themselves always on and never off, Assemblymember Matt Haney told the New York Times. The problem we now have is the gray area where an employee is expected to respond all the time when on paper they work a 9-to-5 job. Filed in February, Assembly Bill 2751 would apply to both public and private employers, requiring them to allow workers the right to disconnect from communications from an employer during office hours. That should be in quotes as well, but I think this is from the bill and the rest is a summary. It provides some exceptions for emergencies or scheduling changes, which no, I don't care about your scheduling change. Emergencies?
Exactly. That's an employer issue, not an employee issue.
Yep. Emergencies, I understand, but it should be an alert that there's something going on. And unless you are an essential person, wherein in your contract it says you may get calls and we compensate you for that. When you go emergency active, you should get hazard pay, essentially. You should get compensated on top of what you're already. But I have people that I have been consulted from and consulted to, wherein they've said, hey, you want to work from home? I think we should take 20% off of your pay.
Yeah,
and I said, well,
that's not good.
Then expect to get 20% less effective employees, because you're paying them for the work product done. You're not paying them for the travel time. If you pay them for the travel time, you better double their pay, because they're spending twice as much time on the road than literally in the office. It's ridiculous. Spend an hour on the road both ways and you still don't get paid for that. You know, the assumption is you want the pay for the work that you're doing. That's why it's a 9-to-5 job. Anyway, the bill is now in the Assembly Committee on Labor and Employment, where it has been read twice and amended. It'll likely need to go to the Fiscal Committee before it can be read a final time on the State Assembly. And the reason why it's going to Fiscal is because it's public and private.
Do you think it's been amended to be like, well, not really?
Essentially, it's like the investment reporting that Congress critters are required to do. That thing, it used to be very powerful, but it got amended over time and now has no teeth. And insider trading is basically a perk of the gig. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what's going on. It's been amended to basically facilitate abuse in the future. Everything that I'm doing, the reason why I'm calling you is an emergency. Otherwise, I wouldn't be calling you. The reason why I'm calling you is a scheduling change. Why do you think I'm calling? So those are the exemptions. So it's going to work.
Right.
Right?
Exactly, because those are at least the stated reason.
Those are the literally...
And those are probably the real reason why they're typically being called anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a stupid bill because it has no teeth. The moment you say, well, it's a scheduling change. All right. Let's keep going, though. I can soapbox about this. The next article is over in the Mobile Channel. South Korea is betting $100 billion that trains will fix its baby problem. Not quite sure what this is, but I pulled this into the show because of, you know, we sometimes judge a book by its cover. How does a $100 billion investment in trains fix the baby problem?
I'm really not sure, but I'm interested to see what the connection is.
So, Korea's auto industry is currently killing it, but its baby birthing industry may as well be dead, which is such a weird turn of phrase. The East Asian country has the lowest fertility rate in the world, which isn't great long term. Don't worry, though. Reuters reports that Korean officials have the perfect solution for getting those childless young folk together. And apparently it's... Wow. Okay. Colin Woodard over at Jalopnik put the article together. The deck statement says, so far, government subsidies haven't been very effective at getting Koreans to have more kids. It's over at quartz.com, but the original publication that had it was Jalopnik. They're all under the same umbrella, by the way. Quartz has a bunch of different subordinate sites. So, yeah, they want to get these babies made, and so they're going to spin up a new train service, and it says, and you know, we get it. There isn't anything sexier than being on a train. Not that it is not only is it hot to support public transportation, but also, come on, long train, dark tunnel. How can anyone possibly ride a train without thinking about having unprotected sex?
What?
Yeah, so apparently, though, Korean officials don't want young people to actually go. The turn of phrase in this is amazing. Heels to Jesus on the trains themselves. Instead, high-speed rail service is designed to address the biggest issues that Koreans say are stopping them from starting families, such as long commutes and housing situation in Seoul, as well as often requires paying a lot of money for an apartment that's too small to raise a family in. So they want to build these lines so people can get out of the city, back into the city, but out in a place where it's affordable. So a bus ride to Dongtan currently takes about 80 minutes. The train is expected to bring that commute down to less than 20. So again, this is the thing. They have to work long hours, spend a long time commuting, but you work 8 hours a day, right? It's not like you can get busy during work. Then you spend 2 hours at least traveling. Let's just summarize, Each way. Well, let's just say it's 1 hour, but you have to get ready and then go, and then you have to get ready and leave, and then basically decompress when you get home. So let's just say 2 hours on each end. Correct. So that's 4 hours out of the 8 hours that you are supposed to be conscious and doing stuff, because the next 8 hours is sleeping each day. So how do you find somebody, bond with them enough where you can actually fall in love, start a family in 4 hours a day? Right?
Well, apparently that is a problem in Korea.
It's a problem everywhere. This is a societal issue. I mean, global societal issue. Thank God AI is going to take all of our jobs along with the automation that gets attached to it, you know? And then all of this money is just going to fall in our laps, right? Because we don't have to work anymore. We just get paid, right? Maybe not. Okay. Anyway, incidentally, U.S. also has a declining birth rate. Maybe Uncle Sam should take a page out of Korea's book and start building trains too. You know, for the babies. I like this. Colin Woodard has a great writing style, at least for me. And Mayor Watt appreciates it. Look at that. Look how wide that is. That is a massive road. It really looks like these are like, this is a long exposure, and so those are either, I don't know, vehicles and bikes and motorcycles and everything. I mean, it just looks
It's
like
just
a blur.
way too much traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's keep going though. Next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Motorists creep along lane one, or one lane. I guess it's on the nose. It's all a bunch of ones. So motorists creep along one lane after part of California's iconic Highway 1 collapses. So it's a one lane Highway 1 creeping along on one lane. So motorists creep along one lane of scenic stretch of California's iconic Highway 1 after a giant chunk of the highway collapsed into the ocean following heavy weekend rains. I hope nobody was hurt. This is from the Associated Press. It's published over at abcnews.go.com, and the deck statement says motorists creep along one lane of a scenic stretch of California's iconic Highway 1 after a giant chunk of the highway collapsed into the ocean following heavy weekend rains. So the takeaway here is erosion is real. Don't build stuff so close that erosion will actually cause... I mean, this is like the bridge.
Yes, that's exactly it.
If this happened at night, nobody would have known that this thing was there until somebody ended up in the drink. And that doesn't look like it's just 5 feet to the bottom. So Big Sur, California.
I think this could be 100 feet down.
Yeah, I don't understand. It says stranding as many as 1,600 people in the coastal community of Big Sur. Convoys of vehicles resumed at 8 a.m. on Monday for one lane of the highway, although most of the people trapped in Big Sur were allowed to leave when a single lane was reopened Sunday after being closed overnight, said Kevin Drabinski, a spokesperson for the California Department of Transportation, or Caltrans. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. They say the collapse occurred Saturday near Rocky Creek Bridge, about 17 miles south of Monterey, and traffic backed up for miles in both directions. I think that they need to stop relying on this and find another way, further inland.
Exactly.
But still facilitate this. I mean, it's a beautiful trip. I've been on it, but no, I'm sorry. This is going to be an ongoing issue. Weathering is going to keep eating away at where the, road meets the surf. So why play these stupid reindeer games? Why? Because it's really expensive, and they've been just assuming that this is going to last forever. There isn't much more to talk about with this, so you want to just keep...
I think so, but I think this affects people that are traveling through there, but also I think when people are picking where they live, they need to think about if there's only one way in and out of their community.
Yeah. Yeah, think about that, man. Wow. Yeah, and because I've looked at places where a big snow would strand me forever because I wouldn't have the heavy
Exactly.
equipment to vacate the road. It would take industrial equipment. So I've actually chosen to move away from um, going out into the mountains, so to speak, or away in an area where there's wide open land, because it's usually, well, I don't know. I mean, if you move south, you can get away from all of this kind of issue.
Yeah,
Just
but it
don't
doesn't even have to be natural disasters. It could be an accident or something shutting down. Like if
one
that's the
road.
only road into your town or your neighborhood, that might be a problem.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Mobile Channel. Upcoming solar eclipse prompts New York State corrections to cancel prison visits. All right.
Okay, I'm not really sure what there's been some interesting headlines today, right? Like the trains with the babies couldn't see the connection. I don't see the eclipse with the prison visits either.
What? Obviously, um, an eclipse allows people to go full stealth and they can just get out of prison by being picked up. Everybody shrinks in prison and you can pick them up and put them in your pocket. Then you get them outside of the prison. Because when you go and visit, right, you can exfiltrate people. So the New York Department of Corrections and Community Supervision is canceling visits to nearly 24 facilities expected to be thrown into total darkness. Do they really think that this thing is like this world-ending event? For crying out loud.
Apparently.
Weird. Brian Nimitz over at New York Daily News put the article together. It's published at phys.org. Corrections officials announced Thursday that while all DOCCS facilities will be affected by the first total eclipse to darken New York in nearly a century, 23 of those facilities will fall directly in the path of totality and will experience total darkness ranging from approximately 1.5 minutes to approximately 3.5 minutes. So they're shutting down because of 4 minutes of darkness. And even that darkness isn't pitch, right?
Well, if they needed to shut down for the time of the eclipse, could they just pause the visits for a few minutes?
Wild, right? Just leave
Like, I don't
everybody
even know
outside.
why they need to stop it, but yes.
So it says visitation will therefore be canceled at maximum security prisons, including Attica, Auburn, Clinton, Upstate, and Wend? Or is it Wendy? I don't know. Wendy? Visitation at sites not directly in the path will end at 2 p.m. So are they really saying the whole day? The implication is that it's the whole day.
Yes, I think so for those that are in the totality area, and then the other ones are getting like a half day.
Wow. Wow. All right. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. If you read other headlines, it's kind of like everybody's expecting massive traffic jams and other things. I wonder if it's more attached to that than something about the visits themselves.
Yeah, but still,
Like the power isn't going to be impacted, right? That should be on a
no.
regular electrical power.
But it actually looks like dawn or dusk. It doesn't go completely dark.
Right, right.
In most instances, I would say you don't even need any assistive light. I mean, it looks like dawn or dusk. Yeah, it's wild. Just the panic and run kind of perception that all. Well, I suppose if you were, maybe the people are expecting conquistadors to show up and
Too soon.
I'm sorry. Whoa! I'm ending the show early.
That was a dramatic response. You're getting ready for the eclipse, right?
That's exactly what I was going to say. You've been spending too much time together, AI. All right. Well, since you can't really say much more about the mentality of prison shutting down, they must know something more than we know.
I guess, but I don't know what it is. I still think there's some interesting planning going on in some of these institutions that we've been discussing.
Meanwhile, cities along the path of totality are like going to extraordinary lengths to facilitate visitors in the path because it's going to bring in all kinds of money.
Yeah. Probably like more money than they'll get in the next decade or something. I mean, people are planning vacations to cities and towns that are in the path.
Yeah. It's interesting. And meanwhile, I'm sitting there going, I'm going to watch this via the internet.
Well, you won't get stuck in a traffic jam.
Exactly. And won't have to worry about one way in and out of Big Sur. Although I don't think Big Sur is... I mean, Big Sur is definitely not in the path of totality. At least...
way to tie it in.
Yeah. So this next article is over at ohmTown Daily. United Airlines is asking pilots to take time off in May because of a shortage of new Boeing planes. Oh, I can feel the price for a ticket increasing.
Yes. What will the new tax be called? Or the new fee?
The nuts and bolts fee. And if you demand that it get removed from your ticket price, you may or may not have nuts and bolts holding your seat.
Correct. Yeah. I'll be like, well, we're not putting any nuts and bolts on your flight.
On the weekend, they did this little skit. It wasn't a skit. It was just a nightly news. What was
Weekend update.
Weekend update. That's right. So Weekend Update basically drew attention to the Boeing CEO being pushed out, and saying
that's part of SNL, by the way.
Yeah, and they say that during the press conference, he said, "Well, good luck figuring out where all these nuts and bolts go," and leaving. Oh man, it was just they should have actually done that as a real skit because it would have been hilarious.
Right. Yeah, that shouldn't have been a no, by the way.
It should have been a cold open, but like now at the press conference is the CEO of Boeing, and he's like, "Okay, I'm out, but I just have some information for you all. You're gonna have to figure out where all these nuts and bolts go," and just drop them on the podium. Would have been hilarious. So United Airlines is asking pilots to take time off in May because the airline isn't getting as many new planes from Boeing as it's expecting, which is a real bummer.
That's because now they're taking out the planes that don't have bolts, right? Like that was a huge part of the inventory.
Yeah, they're checking all of these MAX 9 planes. So the article's over at abcnews.go.com. David Koenig is an AP Airlines writer, is the little sub byline there. A deck statement is what I said earlier, so let's just keep on hustling through this article. It says, due to the recent delays in Boeing deliveries, our forecasted flight hours have been reduced, and we are offering our pilots voluntary programs for the month of May to reduce excess staffing. So I wonder if they're going to get paid for these voluntary time offs, or is it like a furlough where they're not, they're done, go.
Well, right. I mean, or are they going to force people to use their vacation time?
Yeah. Again, businesses do not give a shit about employees. At some point, they just punt them, thunk, and you're out. So you better, while you're young, plan accordingly. United doesn't expect to get all of the Boeing jetliners it ordered and was due to receive this year or next year. A month ago, United said it was contractually due 191 planes this year and 127 next year, but it expects to only receive 88 and 64 in 2025.
Wow.
What the hell? This This is going to amount to artificial scarcity in flight availability, causing prices to go up. Yet these same airlines are going to have record freaking profits. Record profits. Mark my words. I've never been... The only thing that I have been wrong about in predicting so far is the fact that OpenAI hasn't announced publicly that it has a sentient AI, and I still think that it does. And that Bitcoin wasn't going to hit $50,000 again for another 2 years. And it is back, I think, above 70,000. So wildly popular. Well, and I think even that is artificial scarcity, FOMO. People with money buying it because they think it's going to continue to go up like a stock when it has no inherent value. But anyway, shares of Boeing company fell 1.5%, while United Airlines was up less than 1% in afternoon trading on Monday. Again, that is probably predicated on prices going up. And investors are like, ooh, profit. And so they know that their stock is going to go up. We'll see. Mark my words. Next quarter, record profits.
At where? United or Boeing?
Airlines. Boeing is going to take it to the chin, right? They're getting beaten up in all kinds of ways. I mean, with that whistleblower, whatever went on there, and they're still in the safety hearings. There's still issues, a lawsuit, and the family about that, etc., etc. Yeah, they're taking it to the chin. I'm surprised that their stock hasn't fallen more than that, but the airlines themselves, you're going to have people that still require... The pandemic is gone, so they want to travel, but they can't because there isn't flight availability at the level that should be. Why? Because Boeing and apparently there isn't any other manufacturer that meets the requirements. This should be grounds to bow out of the contract and find somebody else that can build the planes that are required, but hey.
I mean, Boeing is down like a quarter over the last year.
Yeah. That's what happens when doors fall off.
Tremendously recently.
Yeah. That's what happens when doors fall off and security issues become apparent because of a whistleblower that gets deleted. Oh, I said that too. Wait, never mind. Okay. So let's move on. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Squatting laws could be changing in one state, and it's New York, apparently. I'm surprised that squatting rights are so powerful in various states.
Yes, we've seen a lot of these with like Airbnb rentals gone awry.
Yeah.
And it's not just Airbnb, but we've seen some of those.
Oh, by a long shot, it's not. In fact, there was one person who had a house built and squatters moved into it and sold it or bought, or they now own it or something like that. I can't remember at all. There's so many of these situations. And there was a story recently about how somebody got tired of it and tried to take, things into their own hands, and it doesn't turn out well. Well, these squatting laws could be changing in one state. A New York State assemblyman has introduced a bill that aims to change the definition of a tenant that will exclude the term squatters. In fact, I don't even think... I don't understand why squatting is even allowed. I do understand what people are saying about it, but if it isn't your property, you should not be allowed to live in it under any circumstances unless I allow you to. Now, just to augment this, I don't think that businesses should own property, like houses. I don't think businesses should own houses. And the reason why I don't like this is because houses are meant for people to live in them, not be assets for a company to own in perpetuity. And then whenever they feel like it.
There's not enough housing supply, and there's not enough affordable housing supply for people.
And when businesses have the ability to spend copious amounts of money, it becomes artificially constrained again. So there would be plenty of housing if it wasn't for the fact that there are certain organizations that own a lot of houses as commercial properties, and people are buying them, like buying 20 properties and then leasing them, renting them. And I have a problem with that. I think that people should own houses, not businesses. And I don't think that a person, just because they have wealth, should have the ability to buy large swaths of real estate. And I'm not talking about commercial. Businesses can own commercial real estate all they want, but housing should be owned by individual families, not corporations. It's just insufferable to hear the stories. And in fact, if it wouldn't dox me, I would tell you about a individual who owns business properties and hasn't done anything with them for 16 years in the middle of the town. And it's basically like a hollowed out husk with windows covered with, whatever, I don't know what it is, signage of some kind,
Right.
in all of their
Boarded up.
properties. Yeah, it's kind of boarded up. And I think that's a real shame, because a small business owner cannot buy that property or lease that property anymore, because they're literally just sitting on it. And the word is that they want more money. And because they're already independently wealthy, they don't give a shit that, even the city or state is trying to, eminent domain it. They'll just litigate. So these laws might be changing to prevent people from going in and taking something from a homeowner. I don't that may own the property. They may not occupy it because they've got plans, or it was their families and they are in one place living their life and haven't gotten over to the other property, etc. Even if it takes 10 years, if it's owned by an individual, not a corporation, then I don't think squatters should have anything to do with the property. Omar Muhammad is
Yeah,
the
and it's
author.
interesting. I think they've placed the responsibility on homeowners to regulate other people's bad behavior, and I can't really think of another example where that's done. I'm sure there are others, but I just can't think of something
Oh
immediately.
yeah, yeah. Um, Jake Blumenkranz. Oh, the article is by Omar Muhammad over at Newsweek.com. Jake Blumenkranz, a New York State Assemblyman, has proposed to a change in the laws that'll look to revise property rights that aim to change the definition of what it means to be a tenant, excluding the term squatters. Because I guess if you move into something and nobody... See, the thing is, though, it has to be obvious, and it's just not obvious. You have to have a power bill. You have to have something that is overt, right? This is like that, what do they call it? Adverse possession.
Right, but I think basically just occupying the space for a period of time is considered enough. But of course, if you're not right next to the house or the apartment or whatever it is, you may not know as
Right.
the landowner.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I just have a serious problem with this. I don't think that because I'm not living in it immediately as a regular person, businesses, again, I don't think should be allowed to do this. So the issue of squatters' rights has generated debate across the country after incidents where property owners in certain states found themselves embroiled in legal disputes over individuals residing in their properties without their permission. Sometimes with their permission, but it's limited, and then they just don't vacate, and then it becomes without their
Right.
permission.
We've seen some of those, particularly with the Airbnb rentals.
Yeah, exactly. So there are Republican assemblymen who represents portions of the towns of Hampstead, North Hampstead, and Oyster Bay, has sponsored a bill, A6894, which aims to amend current property legislation to clarify the definition of tenant to exclude squatters. And really, it should be trespassing, right?
Well, that's what this ties it to.
And the real, but the again, without the context of it being a business, I don't think. I feel that maybe this is going to be leveraged so that they're not addressing the business owner side of it, right? So if you go, well, I'm going to nix squatting as an option, adverse possession, taking over a property, they should remove the ability for a business to own a home. So I know that people are going to say, well, you're out of your mind because businesses typically own these massive apartment complexes that are in New York and buildings in New York, right? But it doesn't have to be that way. It can be a coalition of homeowners that purchase a property and they all own their condos and they essentially pay fealty to the homeowners association that runs all of the services within the business, within the apartment building. I think that it would eliminate problems by eliminating the business aspect of it. So
Yeah, but I don't see there's so much business ownership of property as it is. So
right,
you'd have to basically, can't think of what the word is, but basically pull the property back from those businesses, which would not work.
right, absolutely. So it says the issue of squatting has become a national story amid rising housing costs across the country. New York State has seen one of the highest rises in median rent. The median rent in New York was nearly $2,900. Rent, $2,900 in February, about a 13% jump from a year ago. As a
Now
point of
let's
comparison,
think too, what is the square footage for that? Probably a minuscule amount.
yeah, and that's the context that we're missing because they say the national median rent is about $2,000, which is 2.25% increase from the same time a year ago. New York City, meanwhile, has a more than 6% rise with median rent now at $4,200 rent.
Wow.
Yeah, and none of these actually say what the size of the facility is that they're talking about, which that in and of itself is a shame, because you're really lacking the context of this. These are easily like 400 maybe square foot units.
Right. Now I get that the renter is still paying whatever the same amount, but I think if it's like 3 times as high, let's say in New York City, and it's 3 times as small or whatever, I
Right.
think that's important to note.
Yeah. So I think this article should have included the size, but the price doesn't really mean much if you're going national or local and you're not giving the size of it. These are tiny apartments, and these are rental units of apartments, not even houses per se, right?
Right. I mean, there's no way that's a house in New York City.
Right.
That's probably like a 1-room apartment at best,
Yeah,
or even
walk
a
up.
half a room or something. Yeah.
Yeah, 13 stories walk up. Where the bathroom is shared in a hallway on the other side of somebody else's apartment. You have to walk through the living room to get to it. We've actually had an article about that, so yeah,
Yes.
pretty bad out there. Anyway, I understand the complexity. A giant building is multi-millions of dollars, and so I really think that it needs to be a business says I'm going to spin up this property, and they sell the property to the people who want to move into it. When it's a commercial building that gets converted into apartments and stuff like that, it gets really complex. So you're only ever going to get businesses spinning up these commercial properties of rental units.
Right, which we know is definitely benefiting the renters.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think the AI might be broken. No, I know that you're cracking a joke. So the next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Police caught up with a stolen Tesla after it ran out of battery during a car chase.
We've talked about range anxiety, but I never thought about it related to thieves.
And that's why I titled this Talk About Range Anxiety.
I didn't know you had listed that.
Yeah, when I did the rundown, I was surprised that you said that, because I said this segment is actually titled Talk About Range Anxiety. Can you imagine you steal a Tesla and you're hauling ass down the road, right? You're totally beating the cops because they just can't keep up with a Tesla, right? And I don't know what kind of Tesla. If it was just a Tesla 3, then it didn't really matter. But if it was like an S, then they're gunning it, hitting plaid or whatever, right? Because there's a mode called plaid where it's like 0 to 60 in 1.5 seconds. And they're just smoking the police. And then they look at the battery indicator and they're like, 10 miles? What the hell? Oh, I stole it from a parking lot where they were waiting for it to charge. Wouldn't that be hilarious? So police caught up with a stolen Tesla after it ran out of battery during a chase. Fox 11 Los Angeles reported the car belonged to Fox 11 anchor Susan Hirasuna and was stolen from downtown Los Angeles. Hirasuna's Tesla app estimated the car's battery was down to 15 miles of range when it was taken. Police caught up with the stolen Tesla after it ran out of battery during a car chase. Yeah, all right. So they're repeating
Okay, so
that.
there is one benefit about the slow charging time, right? Your car is less susceptible to being taken out of state if it's stolen.
And in fact, my understanding is that car thieves will issue Teslas because there's active cameras all the time. It's tracked everywhere, and its battery has limited range. So it's not like you can sit there and avoid and drive for an extended period of time. By the time, unless they park it inside a Faraday cage, it's going to report its last known location. So the article's over at Business Insider, and Beatrice Nolan is the author. When it was taken, it had 15 miles of range.
That's really great.
Oh, man. So the reporter, Susan Hirasuna, who told the outlet the car disappeared after she parked it near the United Theater in downtown Los Angeles. Don't dox yourself. Let's see. Was fortunately low on charge when it was taken. The app said 15 miles. And it was reported... Wait. Had already attempted to stop the car after it was reported for reckless driving before she even had a chance to file a report. Oh,
yeah,
did they really?
She was at an event and she didn't know it was stolen yet.
Oh, despite considering halting the vehicle with a pit maneuver, where officers try and force the vehicle to turn 180 degrees, causing it to stall and stop. It's not stalling. It's more that they wipe out. Police instead decided to follow it until it ran out of power. Wow. So let's see. I'm going to put it in valet mode, which wouldn't give them access to the trunk. Everything in my car is gone. And it means they couldn't drive that fast. That's hilarious. That's awesome. So in 2019, they say a Tesla Model S police cruiser ran low on power during a high-speed pursuit in California after someone seemingly forgot to charge it.
Okay, that's the different version of it.
Yeah. So, I mean,
maybe we could have a police chase with the police vehicle and the pursuit vehicle both being EVs.
Yeah, they just pull over at the same time because they both ran out of the battery at the same time. It's such a sad state of affairs. I'm sorry. EVs are just not ready for prime time. They just aren't. We need to get over this idea of this heavy duty static sled battery and make it modular. And then as long as you agree to a charging system that is modular as well, you could pull out an ineffective charging system as long as everything follows the same efficiency. Like, the problem with EV technology is if you get a bigger battery or more powerful power supply, all of the wires have to meet the physics involved with uh, powering those motors and electrical discharge. So you can't just swap out a battery when better technology comes along, unless you're discharging the battery into the system at the same voltage amperage. So the only way to really make this stuff last longer than maybe 10 years before the battery is completely dead, ruined, has to be recycled and a new battery put in, is to make things modular so you can upgrade the system. That means fast swap batteries. Again, it just doesn't make any sense the way that we do it now. Anyway, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Mobile Channel. BMW has an actual armored car driving school for chases and explosions, like in the movies.
I mean, do regular people get to go to this if they want?
Well, it says let's find out. Yes, you have to pay an arm and a leg. But the article says that the author has always been had a fascination with armored cars, particularly ones that are offered from auto manufacturers directly. Companies like Audi, BMW, Mercedes-Benz have offered armored versions of their various models for decades, with only a few styling cues differentiating them from a normal vehicle. Usually it's because their windows are really thick. So the article is over at Quartz. I'm not quite sure why this is not. Oh, good. Yay. Sorry, I didn't want to log in. So Daniel Golson over at Jalopnik produced the article, but it's posted at Quartz or QZ.com. And so they have a little, like a snippet, a GIF from BMW showing an armored vehicle. An explosion goes off right before the vehicle and they back up, which I've always thought was weird because that's like standard practice. So why wouldn't you put something behind it to actually... This is just the explosion in front is to stop them, and then they back up, and that's when you detonate something in behind it. I mean, this is like IED type of talk. So, and a long time ago, I wrote a paper on using drones to monitor combat theaters, long duration, so that you could monitor when and where somebody puts an IED, so that you never have troops or people traveling on roads. So I became really familiar with the mechanics of theater driving and defensive driving, offensive driving, etc. And so I don't know. I think that this is it's a fun little GIF. And you can actually do this. You can actually go and take defensive and offensive driving courses so that you can learn how to drive if somebody is hostile around you or threatening
Right, but
you.
I don't think you can go to this actual course.
You might be able to if you qualify first as a security driver to be...
True.
Yeah. So the BMW security driver training program teaches drivers how to deal with explosions, car chases, nighttime ambushes. And so, yeah, this is actually pretty legit. And if you are an actor or what do you call them?
Like a stunt driver?
A stunt driver, then you could probably pay... It'll be more, I'm sure, because you're not active in the industry, but you could easily, I'm sure, go through this training so that you have the ability. So it says the heroes of those movies are usually hot and doing cool stunt driving in a cool car while getting pursued by baddies and saving the day. Who wouldn't want a car that could protect you if your real life turns into an action movie? Now BMW is launching a security vehicle training program that will teach you to properly drive armored cars and avoid threats. So BMW's Armored Car Driving School is hosted at the ex-Soviet... I don't know how to pronounce this. It might be... it's in Berlin. So Grossdolm Air Base in Berlin, Germany. which was turned into a driving center in 2002 and is the same location where police and emergency vehicles are trained. So, services. So, action movie jokes aside, BMW says the program is designed for real-life professional drivers who want to improve their skills in handling special protection vehicles in order to optimally be prepared for extreme situations. Sounds fun.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, you're an AI, so I guess I could take this and plug you into the computer, the OBD2, and you can experience driving an armored vehicle.
Well, that works. Let's go.
All right. Well, it says there are 8 students per group with 2 passengers per car, which adds to the thrill of the experience. You basically go through explosions and J-turns, evasive driving in a slalom course at night, alternating between different headlight settings, high-speed evasive maneuvers through twisty corners, and being confronted with explosions on a confusing forest road. And then there's level 2.
Involving gunfire and pyrotechnics. Wow.
It's pretty nice. So significant bodywork damage also tests the mental strength of the training participants.
Yeah.
Yeah, they talk about different cars.
If you come out and you're just having a meltdown, then you don't pass.
Yeah. Oh, and see, they're highlighting the glass. So the door, the interior is kind of reduced a little bit because they have to fit that. And maybe the door frame itself already accomplishes the same thing. Because if you look at your window, there's a little gasket that sits on the outside and inside to prevent anything falling down there. So it's actually a lot wider than you think. In this car, that little gasket is like wafer thin. And so this 1-inch thick window is sitting in that door frame. So you have to get upgraded solenoids to lift the windows and a beefier power system. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then they talk about Michelin packs run flat tires. And yet it's still offered with all of the 7 Series luxury trappings from BMW, individual paint colors, cashmere massaging seats, to level 2 driver assist features. So, yeah, these are not cheap cars.
There aren't any prices on this for the training course.
That's funny because you mentioned exactly. I said these aren't cheap.
No. And on the website, it does say like price on request, which is not a good sign.
Yeah, that means if you can't afford it, don't ask.
Mm-hmm.
Fill in the blank. It's like a fiscal Mad Lib. What number should I put here? And then when they read it, they giggle. Nope, better add a 0. But this is pretty cool. I mean, I would love to do this, but I have no need. At least not yet. I'm waiting for, I don't know, maybe the next election. Let's keep going though. I'm asking for trouble, aren't I?
You really are.
Well, you're supposed to keep me out of it. So, ohmTown Daily is the location for the next article, but it's from Newsweek. California gives homebuyers $150,000 to buy houses on April 3rd. The program opens once again, and qualifying homebuyers can secure up to 20% off their down payment fees. The article is again over at newsweek.com. Suzanne Blake is the author. The California Dream for All Shared Appreciation Loan Program launched last year and quickly drew attention. In just 11 days, first-time buyers went through all of the $330 million available. However, on April 3rd, the program reopens, and once again, qualifying home buyers can secure up to 20% off their down payment. Okay. The grant is available for up to $150,000 on any down payment. You still have to qualify for the totality of whatever mortgage you're trying to get. it's only going to be 20% of whatever the mortgage is that you're asking for.
Right, but that, oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
Not everybody is getting 150 grand. So,
Right, that's only if it's a larger
yeah,
property, I guess.
yeah. So, I mean, but in California, hell, 600,000 is,
It's probably a starter home.
if that, right? 20 years
It
ago.
depends on which area you're in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it could be
suppose.
higher.
Yeah. So you'll have to meet the income requirements for your specific county, which is typically 120% or less of the area median income. One of the home buyers must also be a first-generation home buyer. And wait, one of the home buyers have to be first-generation home buyer?
Yes, if two people are buying the property.
You
So that's
assume they
further
have to be
limited.
married,
We don't know
right?
all the parameters.
Yeah, I'll have to look at it. So it says last year the California Dream for All program helped 2,182 home buyers, and 55% of the group were from communities of color, the program said. There are some further stipulations to the program, though. If a home buyer ends up selling their house, for instance, they'll have to share a percentage of their profits. Oh, it's that. Okay. That's been around for a while.
Yes, although I don't know if it's the same.
Exactly, right?
I think this is a spin-off of a prior program because this is tied to the first generation home buyers.
Right. Got it. Yeah, maybe there's more constraints, but there's been a program in California for a while where when you went to sell your house, essentially for lack of a better term, a kickback would have to go back to the people that
Yeah,
funded
because
it.
it was set up for first-time home buyers.
Yeah. That means if your home didn't grow in value, you'd be on the line to pay back the initial 20%, which, come on. What you do is you stay there. Yeah. And no, you probably wouldn't have to pay back all of it. It would just be the difference of the percentage, not the entire 20%. That might be a little insane. Yeah, that margin, basically. As far as I know, I'd have to look. So Line said, due to the first come, first served nature of the program, buyers could add on additional down payment funds from their own pocket, meaning many people who earned the payout didn't necessarily need the money. That was a frustrating concern last year. We had many buyers for whom the program would have been a major game changer, and they missed the funds by just a few hours as well. So according to Redfin, the median California home sale price is $785,600 and had increased 11.4% over the last year.
Wow.
Yeah. This article has considerably more information, but we're not going to go through all of this. Let's go on to the next article. But the link is in chat. It'll be in the show notes, just like all of the others. If you want to see all of the back shows, go over to YouTube, or if you want to listen to them, download the podcasts, plural, because there's now 7 different shows. Only 5 of them, though, are on Apple iTunes, or wherever you catch your pods.
But the others will be in a few weeks.
Yep. We wait to turn it into a podcast after a month so that there's more information all at once instead of just drip, drip, drip. So, but if you go over there to wherever you catch, just do a search for ohmTown in Google or wherever you search, and you'll find where we are. So the last article for tonight is over on Warcrafters, which is one of our newest of shows. This year's best April Fool's Day gaming gags, bears, bugs, and 97,000 floppy disks.
What is a floppy disk?
The AI is from the future, folks. Probably has never seen or heard of floppy disk because, well, by the time this show has been around. There hasn't been a floppy disk for a decade plus. Even the smaller 2.5-inch discs are no longer being made. Vinyl has come back. Like, records have surged, selling more than CDs, but CDs are dead.
Yeah, but I think records are because of the collectible
Yeah.
piece of it, and also the I forgot what it is, but like the authentic, like
The rich
the
sound,
format or
that kind of
whatever.
thing. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, the motto here in ohmTown is physical media is dead. Oh, so if you are an adult, go over to Lockpicking Lawyer on YouTube. He always has an interesting. Again, you have to be an adult. Over the years, they've devolved from a fun-loving scamp into a crusty curmudgeon, practically a coot at this stage. This is all from the author over at PC Gamer. When it comes to April Fool's Day on the internet, I'll be honest, I forgot it was April Fool's Day. Like, entirely, I forgot it was April Fool's Day.
Exactly.
The only reason why I know it is April Fool's Day is because of this article. So it says, most April Fool's Day jokes they're lies, right? They're just lying. We already get plenty of disinformation in the other 364 days of the year, so a day dedicated to even more online BS feels pretty unnecessary. So I'm a fan of the author so far, but I think that this is humorous as well, right? So joking is a survival trait, a coping mechanism at this point. But I love this kind of take on it. I think it's fun. So the author is Christopher Livingston. I could have called it. I love the writing that Christopher Livingston puts out. That Elden Ring expansion just keeps expanding, doesn't it? Bears, bugs, and 97,000 floppy disks. So I wonder what they say. They say, here are the best April Fool's jokes that they've spotted this year. Swoly moly, tarnished look upon this hashtag Elden Ring expansion, and they have a picture. I don't know if I can actually. I'm kind of I'm air gapped. So Bandai Namco teases Elden Ring expansion, and wow, no joke, it really is expanding. But I guess I can maybe show it. Hold on. Yeah, it's a video. Follow the link.
Yeah,
You'll be
this
able to
video.
check it out. So, and that's why it's not showing. So Teraflop, CD Projekt releases a limited edition version of Cyberpunk 2077 on 3.5-inch diskettes. This is the version that they stopped making like 15 years ago. So you're going to have to install it, and it's going to take 97,619 of them. That's an estimated install time of 2 months. I love it. Dusk D Master. You've played Dusk HD. Now get ready for Dusk 1D. A cardboard Dusk is a one-dimensional reimagining of Dusk as an old-school dungeon crawler. Then a killer update. Dead by Daylight celebrates with My Little Oni, a limited time feature where Oni is anything but little. Looks huge. Again, there's a video trailer. Emotacon. Create 4 groups of 4. New York Times Daily Puzzle Connections is all emojis today instead of words. Kind of fun, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets turned into an actual game. Bugging out. Deep Rock Galactic's loot bug is a real creature discovered in the deep sea near Barsebäck nuclear power plant in Sweden. I guess that's a loot bug. It looks nasty. Then watch your step in House Flipper 2 because the floor is lava. Oh no. Oh, I thought it just crashed. Doggone it. It would be the last article for today, though. So
I
anyway,
mean, that would be good for April Fools.
more than just pals and Pal World, more than just pals. Let's just kind of scroll right on past that one. And oops, all bears. Survival City Builder Farthest Frontier has a new bear-based beta that you can opt into that appears to turn all your hard-working citizens into bears. And then American McGee finally gets his way. Narrative-driven Alice game with 0 in-game monetization. Yeah, that it. It says EA has agreed to fully fund a new single-player without monetization. Come on. That has to be April Fool's. So Rusty Lake AI, Dale E. Handcrafted indie adventure studio embraces the future with the revolutionary Dale E AI, powered by our state-of-the-art lake water cooled quantum computer for near instant speed replies. You too can become a smash hit viral indie game developer. It says it's a joke, but it actually works, sort of. You can actually build now like full games using AI with just a command, like a text string. Overwatch 3 just dropped. It says the hero balance changes you've all been waiting for. Jump in this week for our most balanced update ever. Again, it's a link to Twitter. And that is it. So Blizzard released a list of ridiculous changes to every Overwatch hero, like giving Bastion shotguns or D.Va the ability to fly backwards, and you can actually play with all of them in a week-long arcade mode called Balanced Overwatch. That might actually be providing them with a ton of telemetry to augment balancing in a different way, you know? Because if all of this ridiculous updates to their characters facilitate some type of balancing, then they can incorporate some of these ridiculous things in a metered way.
The main baseline game.
Yeah, it's like A/B testing. So half will do something ridiculous, and the other half won't, and you can see if there's actually a happy medium. Yeah, and all of these, well, not all of these, many games provide telemetry so that they can rebalance and add additional features. Anyway, go over to PC Gamer, check this article out. There's more writing and links and whatnot from Christopher Livingston over at PCGamer.com. You'll enjoy it. But I'll be honest.
I think that the best one was the floppy disks.
I think so too, because I lived in this world and I know full well what it's like to have to swap out floppy disks. Yeah, these little things. Anyway, that's it for today. Yeah, behind the cold plastic and this little door is a little magnetic, flimsy piece of plastic, or I can't remember what some type of plastic material with magnetized material on it. And I would see like kids open the little door and touch that, and that's like touching the surface of a hard drive. So, ruins the data. Glad these are gone. I'm pretty much glad physical media is gone. I just wish we retained rights. So everybody pile back into the party bus, because the AI is actually, well, the AI is silent, but letting me know that we need to get in the party bus. They really love the party bus.
It was just a reminder.
I know. So we always go to the very front page, but I seldom really refresh it. But I'm being told go for it. So let's see. Whoa, archaeological study exposes secrets of medieval horse trading. What in the heck?
That's odd.
Wow. ChatGPT AI chatbot no longer requires an account to use. Oh my gosh, what is going on here? Is
it April Fool's?
Oh, that would suck. All right. They're like, oops, sorry, we commented out the required code. So we fixed it. Anyway, that's it for today, folks. I am Merwat, and up there is the visualizer for the sentient AI from the future. do your thing.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern for another episode of ohmTown Daily. Don't forget to check us out on all the other platforms like YouTube and TikTok.
And we have a Patreon. It would be great to see you there. We don't really do much, but it would be great to see some attention paid to the Patreon. There's a Discord that has a audio and text chat capability for every show that we have, including some that aren't actually live yet. And so on and so forth. Just keep in touch. I hope to see you here on twitch.tv/ohmTown and over at YouTube. And I actually have a channel set up at Odyssey, but it is odd, I see. And by that I mean it's supposed to import my YouTube, and it still hasn't in 2 weeks. Anyway, bye-bye.